All right, strap in, everyone, because today we're diving headfirst into the world of psychopaths and narcissists.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, trying to tell these two apart can feel like you're lost in a funhouse.
Yeah.
Full of mirrors. You know, it's confusing and a little unnerving, to say the least.
Absolutely. You're right on the money with that analogy. These terms get thrown around all the time.
Yeah.
But getting down to the nitty-gritty and understanding those sometimes really subtle differences between the two is crucial for understanding people in general.
Oh, for sure. And to make things even more slippery, neither one of these terms automatically means that somebody's got a mental disorder. Right?
Exactly.
We're really zoning in on personality.
Right.
You know, personality traits here.
Yeah.
Not clinical diagnoses.
Exactly. So think of it like introverted or extroverted.
Yeah.
It's a style of personality.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a pathology.
It's not a disorder. Okay, good. Well, so we're not playing armchair psychiatry.
Yeah, no.
Here we're digging deep into the nuances of these personality types.
Yeah.
And to help us do that, we are kind of breaking this down into four kind of subtypes.
Right.
We've got primary psychopathy, secondary psychopathy, grandiose narcissism, and vulnerable narcissism.
Yeah, that's a really good way to break this down. And that's the way to really kind of parse these things out. Okay. Because there is a lot of overlap between these personalities. Okay. Which is what makes it so tricky to separate them.
Right, and I think that's one of the things that makes this so interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is that it's not so cut and dry.
No.
And it's definitely, I can see why this would be really challenging to make these distinctions sometimes.
Yeah, and it can be, you know, for researchers, for clinicians, it's important to be able to get this right.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's start kind of building our understanding from the ground up here.
Yeah.
What are the core characteristics of each of these subtypes? So starting with
let's start with primary psychopathy.
Okay.
And that's the one that kind of conjures up that Hollywood psychopath in everyone's mind.
Right, okay.
So they're callous, they're unemotional, they're very manipulative, prone to pathological lying.
Yeah.
And then they also exhibit this trait that researchers call fearless dominance.
Okay, fearless dominance. That sounds intense.
It is intense.
Can you give me a real world example of what that might look like?
So imagine a CEO who is ruthlessly downsizing their company, laying off, maybe hundreds of employees without a flicker of remorse. Right. You know, they focus solely on the bottom line, the profit. Yeah. Completely unconcerned with the human cost of their actions.
Right.
So that lack of empathy and that boldness in pursuing their goals, even at the expense of other people, is a real hallmark of primary psychopathy.
Wow, that's a stark picture. Okay, so primary psychopathy marked by lack of empathy and this very calculated, decision making. What about secondary psychopathy? How does that differ?
So think of secondary psychopathy as having that same disregard for other people, but coupled with impulsivity and risk-taking.
Got it.
So these individuals are often irresponsible, sensation-seeking, and more likely to engage in behaviors that might land them in trouble with the law.
So would it be safe to say then that a primary psychopath might plan a white-collar crime very carefully, whereas a secondary psychopath might, rob a convenience store on a whim.
Exactly, yeah. They both lack empathy. Wow. They both disregard rules. Yeah. But their methods and their motivations are often stemming from different places.
Got it. This is already helping me see some of these distinctions more clearly. Okay, so let's move on to narcissism.
Okay.
Let's start with the grandiose type. What are their key characteristics?
So grandiose narcissists are often fixated on their self-perceived greatness.
Okay.
So they fantasize about success and power. They crave admiration, and they can be incredibly jealous of anyone who threatens their spotlight.
Got it.
And they often exhibit the sense of entitlement believing that they deserve special treatment and favors.
So think of like the stereotypical demanding celebrity who throws a tantrum and when they don't get their way.
Exactly. Yeah, that need to be the center of attention.
Right.
And that belief that the world revolves around them is a real defining characteristic.
Okay, so I'm starting to see the difference between like a grandiose narcissist who's very much driven by this need for external validation, and a psychopath who seems more internally driven by their own goals and desires. Now, what about the vulnerable narcissist? They sound less outwardly flamboyant.
You're right. While they share some similarities with the grandiose type, that inflated sense of self. Right. Vulnerable narcissists are much more fragile beneath the surface. Okay. So they're hypersensitive to criticism. Right. They harbor deep insecurities. Okay. And often struggle with feelings of shame and inadequacy.
Okay, so they might act superior and entitled on the surface. Right. But underneath, they're terrified of being exposed as a fraud.
Exactly. Think of it like a house of cards. Okay. The slightest breeze of criticism can just send their whole self-image crumbling. Right. They crave admiration. Yeah. But they're terrified of rejection. Okay. Which often leads to defensiveness, anger. Yeah.
Wow. That's a powerful image. Okay. So we've laid this groundwork now. Yeah. For these 4 subtypes. Now the $1 million question. Okay. How do we tell them apart? Yeah. In the real world? Right. Especially since you mentioned there's some significant overlap. Yeah. You've hit on the real challenge here. Yeah. And that's what we're going to unpack next. Okay. There are specific traits that really help us differentiate between psychopathy and narcissism. Yeah. Even when those lines seem kind of blurry. Right. This is where it gets really interesting for me. So lead the way. I'm ready to dive even deeper here.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so to really start untangling this web, let's first focus on what sets narcissists apart from psychopaths. Okay. And we'll explore those narcissistic traits that don't typically show up in psychopathy.
Got it. So what are some of those narcissistic characteristics that are?
So envy is a big one. Okay. While both personalities can be competitive, a narcissist's envy runs much deeper. It's an emotional vulnerability that fuels their need to outshine. Okay. Others, psychopaths on the other hand, are often indifferent to another person's success. Right. Unless it's directly hindering their own goals.
Okay, so while a psychopath might be like laser focused on achieving their own objectives, a narcissist is constantly looking over their shoulder, comparing themselves to others.
Yeah, constantly comparing. Yeah.
And feeling threatened by other people's accomplishments.
Threatened, yeah, absolutely. That's a great way to put it. It's that emotional component of envy that really distinguishes the narcissist. And this also ties into their insatiable need for admiration. Right. So while both personalities might enjoy attention, for the narcissist, it's like oxygen. They need it
to survive.
That constant validation to prop up their fragile sense of self.
It's like they're running on this endless treadmill. Yes. Of needing to prove their worth. Yes. Always seeking this external validation. Yes. To fill this internal void.
Exactly. And this ties into another distinct narcissistic trait. Okay. Which is this belief in their own specialness and uniqueness. So psychopaths might have an inflated sense of self. Yeah. But the narcissist takes it to a whole other level. Okay. They genuinely believe that they're superior. Right. Deserving of special treatment and admiration.
Okay, so a psychopath might manipulate others to get ahead in business. Right. Whereas a narcissist might just expect to be given a promotion simply because they believe that they're inherently more talented than their coworkers.
Precisely. Yeah, this belief in their inherent superiority also fuels their sense of entitlement.
Right.
So narcissists often expect special favors and unwavering loyalty, something that you don't typically see in psychopathy.
So it's almost as if they view the world as an extension of themselves.
Yes.
Expecting everyone to cater to their needs and desires.
Exactly. Now let's consider arrogance.
Okay.
So while psychopaths can be callous and dismissive, true arrogance, that haughty, superior attitude is more characteristic of narcissism.
Okay.
Psychopaths often just simply don't care what other people think.
Right.
Whereas narcissists crave admiration, but mask their insecurities with an air of superiority.
So a psychopath might ignore criticism.
Right.
While a narcissist might lash out defensively.
Exactly.
Feeling threatened by any challenge.
Yeah.
To their carefully constructed self-image.
Exactly. And finally we have a trait that's really specific to vulnerable narcissism. And that's hypersensitivity to criticism. Right. And this is a key differentiator.
Okay.
As psychopaths are generally indifferent to criticism.
Right.
They might even view it as a sign of weakness.
Okay.
Right.
So feedback that just rolls off a psychopath's back.
Yeah, completely.
Might send a vulnerable narcissist into a spiral of shame and self-doubt.
Exactly. They're constantly guarding against any perceived attack on their ego.
Right. Okay. This is so insightful. I'm starting to see how these subtle differences in their emotional responses really set them apart.
They do.
Okay, so we've covered those narcissistic traits, not typically found in psychopathy.
Right.
Now, what about the flip side?
Okay.
What are some psychopathic traits that distinguish them from narcissists?
So one of the most striking differences is the psychopath's insensitivity to punishment.
Okay.
While both personalities might engage in risky behavior, psychopaths are far less deterred by potential consequences.
Okay.
It's like they have a diminished sense of danger or repercussions.
Okay. So a narcissist might hesitate before cheating on their taxes, worried about getting caught.
Right.
Whereas a psychopath might just forge ahead. Completely unconcerned.
Yeah, they're not thinking about the ramifications of those actions. Yeah, that's a good way to think about it. Their impulsivity is often driven by a need for immediate gratification rather than a fear of getting caught.
Yeah.
Another key difference is low neuroticism.
Okay, that's fascinating. So given given their often destructive behavior, you'd think that they'd be...
You'd think so.
Riddled with anxiety.
Yeah.
About...
You would potential fallout.
You would. It seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But remember, psychopaths often lack emotional depth.
They
don't experience the same level of emotional turmoil that a narcissist might.
Okay.
So this low neuroticism also contributes to their unemotional decision-making.
Right.
Which is a real hallmark of psychopathy.
So a narcissist might make a rash decision, fueled by jealousy, or rage, whereas a psychopath might just calmly and coldly calculate their next move, completely unaffected,
unaffected
by emotional turmoil.
Exactly. They're remarkably adept at detaching emotions from decision making, which can make them very effective manipulators.
Right.
And this also leads to a lack of guilt.
Okay.
Which is another key psychopathic trait.
Okay.
So while both personalities can lack empathy, psychopaths genuinely don't experience remorse in the same way that a narcissist might.
It's like they have this blind spot when it comes to guilt.
Yes.
They can inflict harm on others without feeling any emotional repercussions.
Exactly. And this ties into that cold calculation we talked about earlier. So psychopaths are capable of planning and executing actions without the interference of emotions. And this is especially evident in cases of criminal psychopathy.
So a narcissist might cheat on their spouse impulsively.
Right.
Driven by a need for attention.
Yeah.
Whereas a psychopath might very meticulously plan an affair.
Exactly, yeah.
Weighing the risks and the benefits with this chilling detachment.
With that chilling detachment. Yeah, exactly.
Wow. Okay, I'm seeing these distinctions more clearly now. But you mention that there are also overlapping traits.
Yeah, right.
But with a twist?
Right.
What are...
Let's start with grandiosity.
Okay.
So both exhibit it.
Okay.
The narcissist's grandiosity is fueled by entitlement.
Right.
Envy.
Yeah.
And that constant need for admiration.
Right.
It's more pronounced, almost a defining characteristic.
So it's not just about like feeling superior. It's about needing.
It's about needing other people
to
validate
that superiority. Okay, got it.
Exactly. And this plays into their shared fantasies of success and power.
Right.
So both psychopaths and narcissists
can harbor these fantasies.
Right.
But their core motivations differ.
Okay, can you give me an example of how those fantasies might play out differently?
Yeah. So in real life.
Imagine you're watching the classic 1980s movie Airplane.
I can see where you're going with this. This is a high stakes, dramatic situation. Perfect
perfect for
explore how these personalities might react.
Wow.
So the pilots are incapacitated,
right?
And someone needs to land the plane.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm with you.
Okay. So now imagine a narcissist in that situation.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So their fantasy would likely be highly pro-social.
Okay.
Okay, focused on heroism.
Okay.
And basking in the admiration of others. So they would imagine themselves skillfully landing the plane, overcoming these exaggerated challenges, and becoming a celebrated hero.
So it's not just about saving the day, it's about being the star of the show.
Of the show, yeah.
The one that everyone praises for their bravery and their skill.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Now contrast that with a psychopath's.
Yeah, I'm curious, how would that differ?
So a psychopath's fantasy might involve self-preservation at the expense of others.
Okay.
They might imagine grabbing valuables and escaping before the plane crashes.
Right.
Or coldly calculating a successful landing purely for personal gain or a sense of control.
Right. So it's a much more detached,
much more
self-serving vision, lacking that emotional need for recognition that drives the narcissist.
The narcissist.
Okay.
Exactly. And this brings us to another overlapping trait, manipulation.
Right.
So both types can be
master manipulators.
Manipulators, but their motivations and tactics often differ.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see how would their manipulation strategies vary?
Narcissistic manipulation is emotionally driven.
Okay.
So they aim to elicit specific feelings in others.
Okay.
Often playing the victim to evoke sympathy.
Okay.
Guilt tripping someone into compliance or preying on insecurities to gain control.
Okay.
So their manipulation is about feeding their ego and maintaining a sense of superiority.
So their manipulation is fueled by their own emotional
needs and insecurities. Exactly. Psychopathic manipulation, on the other hand,
is more straightforward and goal oriented.
Okay.
They want something concrete, money, resources, or a specific outcome.
Right.
And they'll use whatever tactics are necessary to achieve their objective.
Right.
Often with a chilling lack of concern for the emotional well-being of those they manipulate.
It's a much more calculated and detached approach, focused on achieving this tangible objective rather than than feeding some emotional need.
Exactly. Their manipulation is a tool.
Right.
It's a means to an end.
A means to an end. Okay.
Yeah.
This is fascinating. I'm starting to see how these subtle differences in motivation and execution really paint a different picture of their manipulation tactics.
Absolutely.
Now let's talk about a trait
that both psychopaths and narcissists share.
Yes. This is a big one.
Yeah.
This is lack of empathy.
Lack of empathy.
Both struggle to understand or care about the feelings of others.
Right.
But it's important to remember that they're capable of empathy.
Right.
They just choose not to use it.
So it's not an inability to empathize.
It's a choice.
It's a deliberate choice.
A choice.
To shut down that part of themselves.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Now consider superficial charm.
Yeah.
So both psychopaths and narcissists can be incredibly charming and charismatic when it serves their purposes.
Right. It's a tool they use to disarm.
To disarm and manipulate others.
And manipulate makes sense. They need to be likable.
Yeah.
To be able to control and exploit other people.
Right. Effectively. But that charm is often shallow and fleeting. It's a means to an end, not genuine warmth or affection.
So it's all about the facade, the
facade,
surface level charm designed to disarm and mislead.
You got it.
Okay.
Now let's talk about dominance. So both can be dominant, but their expressions of dominance differ significantly.
Okay, I'm all ears. How do their approaches to dominance vary?
For the narcissist, dominance is about social power and control.
Okay.
They might try to dominate conversations, belittle others, or manipulate situations to feel superior.
I don't know.
However, they often retreat when directly challenged.
Right. So it's
or confronted.
Fragile dominance, easily shattered.
Yes, fragile dominance.
When their authority is questioned.
Easily shattered.
Okay.
Exactly. Psychopaths, on the other hand, exhibit a more fearless dominance.
Okay.
They're less concerned with social approval, and more willing to resort to aggression or intimidation, to assert control.
So it's a more raw, uninhibited form.
Uninhibited.
Yes.
Okay.
They're not afraid of confrontation, and might even enjoy the thrill of it.
Yeah. Okay. I'm seeing how their underlying motivations really shape how their dominance manifests.
Okay. Finally, let's talk about pathological lying.
Okay.
Both psychopaths and narcissists, both prolific liars, but their lies.
The lies serve
different purposes.
So for the narcissist, lying is often about inflating their ego and protecting a fragile sense of self. So they might lie about their accomplishments, their connections, or their experiences to make themselves seem more important or impressive.
So their lies are driven by insecurity and a need to maintain a certain image.
Exactly. They're crafting this persona that aligns with their grandiose self-image.
Got it.
Psychopathic lies, on the other hand, are more strategic and goal-oriented. So they lie to get what they want. Money, resources, or control. Their lies are tools for manipulation and exploitation.
So it's a much more calculated
and
manipulative form of lying. Not necessarily driven by a need.
Not driven by a need.
Bolster their ego.
To bolster the ego, their focus is on achieving a desired outcome. And lying is just another tool.
It's just a tool.
In their arsenal.
Wow, this has been an incredibly insightful journey so far. We've uncovered so many fascinating nuances between these two personality types.
Absolutely. It's fascinating.
But before we move on, I think it's important to remember
it is
that real world differentiation is much more complex.
Is much more complex.
It's crucial to avoid these simplistic labels.
Right.
And recognize the multifaceted nature of human behavior.
We're human behavior, absolutely. We're not trying to armchair diagnose anyone here.
Right. This isn't about labeling people. Right. It's about understanding.
It's about understanding
these complex forces.
Complex forces
that shape behavior.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, so with all of this in mind, are we ready to
I think so.
Tackle this final and perhaps most intriguing question?
All right.
Can someone be both psychopathic?
This is a great question. It's one that requires a nuanced understanding of both personality types. Think of it like this. Think of it like a Venn diagram.
Okay.
With psychopathy and narcissism as these overlapping circles.
Okay.
So someone could fall squarely in one circle or the other.
Right.
But it's also possible to occupy that space where the two circles intersect.
Okay, so you're saying that someone could possess both.
They could possess both.
Psychopathic.
To varying degrees.
And narcissistic traits.
Yes, to varying degrees, exactly. To varying degrees.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not an either situation.
Yeah,
someone might have a primary psychopathic foundation with strong narcissistic tendencies, or vice versa.
That makes sense. It's like making a cake, you know? You can tweak the recipe. You can add a little more of one ingredient, a little less of another to create
flavor.
A unique flavor.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And just like a cake with too much sugar can be overwhelming.
Yeah.
This combination of traits can create a very potent and potentially dangerous personality.
Yeah, I'm getting chills just thinking about that. So what would this look like in real life?
So imagine someone who is incredibly charming and charismatic, able to effortlessly draw people in.
But beneath that charm lies a manipulative core driven by this need for power and control.
Right.
Fueled by both narcissistic grandiosity and a psychopathic disregard for others.
So they're like a wolf in sheep's clothing. You know, they use their charm to disarm and exploit those around them.
Precisely. They might be driven by a hunger for success and recognition, but they're willing to climb over anyone to reach the top.
Right.
Leaving a trail of emotional wreckage in their wake.
It's like this toxic cocktail.
It is.
Of ambition.
Yeah.
Ruthlessness. And just a complete lack of conscience.
And a complete lack of conscience, exactly.
Yeah, and this combination can be incredibly difficult.
Yeah, it can be.
To detect.
Especially
in those early stages.
In those early stages, they might be so skilled.
They might be so skilled at masking their true intention.
Yeah,
that they just seem...
Yeah, that they just seem trustworthy.
Trustworthy and genuine.
It's like a...
This is really unsettling. It's like a psychological stealth bomber.
Yes.
You know, you don't see it coming.
You don't see it coming
until it's too late.
Until it's too late. That's a powerful image.
Yeah.
And it's often an accurate one.
Yeah.
The damage they can inflict can be devastating.
Yeah, both emotionally and
financially.
Yeah. Okay, so how can we protect ourselves from falling prey to someone like this?
So one of the biggest warning signs is a consistent pattern of manipulative behavior.
Okay, so it's not about like
not an isolated
instance of manipulation. It's about this recurring.
It's a
recurring pattern.
Yeah, that becomes a defining characteristic of their interactions.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. It's about looking for a consistent disregard for the well-being of other people.
Right.
A willingness to use people to get what they want without a second thought.
Yeah, and this might manifest in...
It can manifest in different ways.
Depending on the context.
Depending on the context, absolutely.
Right.
They might manipulate their romantic partners, friends, family members, colleagues. The key is to recognize the pattern, regardless.
Tell who the target is.
So it's about paying attention to how they treat people.
Across the board.
Across the board.
Yeah.
Looking for signs of disrespect.
Yeah.
Exploitation.
Or
a lack of genuine concern.
Genuine concern.
Okay.
Exactly.
Another red flag is just a complete lack of accountability.
Of accountability for their actions.
Yeah. So they might blame other people for their mistakes.
Right.
Refuse to apologize.
Right.
Or downplay the harm.
Right. It's like they have a Teflon coating.
Yes.
When it comes to responsibility.
Yes. Teflon coating.
Nothing sticks.
Nothing sticks. They might be incredibly skilled at deflecting blame and twisting the narrative to make themselves appear as the victim, even when they're the one who's done wrong.
This sounds a lot like gaslighting,
It is.
Making someone doubt their own perceptions and their own memories.
Exactly.
To avoid taking responsibility.
It's a powerful form of manipulation that can leave the victim feeling confused, disoriented, and questioning their own sanity.
Yeah, this is all starting to sound incredibly sinister. It's like
it can be.
They're slowly weaving this web of deception and control.
Yeah.
Making it very difficult.
Very difficult
for their victims to escape.
That's a very apt analogy.
Yeah.
And it's why recognizing those early warning signs is crucial.
Okay, so we need to be vigilant, but what can we actually do to protect ourselves?
So one of the most important things is to trust your instincts.
Okay.
If something feels off or too good to be true, it probably is.
It's like that gut feeling that whispers, something's not right here.
Something's not right.
Even if you can't
if you can't put your finger on it.
Put your finger on it, yeah.
Exactly. Our intuition is often a powerful guide.
Right.
And it's important to listen to those internal warning bells.
Yeah, but sometimes it can be hard to trust our gut, especially if we're being,
especially when you're being charmed
and manipulated by someone who seems trustworthy.
By someone who seems trustworthy, you're absolutely right. That's why it's essential to gather information and seek external perspective. So talk to trusted friends or family members or even a therapist.
So it's about getting a reality check.
A reality check
from people outside of the situation.
From people outside the situation.
To see if they're noticing,
if they're seeing
those same red flags.
Your same red flags, exactly. It's easy to get caught up in the moment. Especially when someone is skilled at manipulation.
Right.
But by seeking outside perspectives, we can gain a clearer view and make more informed decisions.
It's like having a support system, a team of people to help us.
A support system?
See things more objectively. And stay grounded.
Exactly. And remember, you always have the right to set boundaries and walk away from any situation that feels unsafe.
Absolutely. Yeah. We don't have to tolerate manipulation or abuse.
You don't have to tolerate it. No matter how charming
or persuasive the person might
seem. Absolutely. You deserve to be treated with respect and dignity, and you have the power to protect yourself from those who would seek to exploit or harm you.
Wow, this conversation has been so eye-opening. It's really helped me understand this complex and often dangerous.
Yeah, it can be dangerous.
Interplay between psychopathy and narcissism.
And remember, this is just a glimpse into the vast spectrum of human behavior.
Right.
There's always more to explore and understand.
Right. And on that note, dear listener, we come to the end of our deep dive. We hope this exploration has sparked your curiosity and provided a deeper understanding of these intricate workings of the human mind. Yeah.
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember, every interaction, every encounter offers a glimpse into this vast spectrum of human experience.